And we are tracking new developments involving the Maryland man mistakenly deported to a Salvadorian mega prison and the effort to bring him back home to the U.S. The Trump administration confirming that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is alive and secure in that notorious El Salvador prison, following the Supreme Court ruling that the administration must facilitate his return to the U.S. I'm joined by attorney Mark Reichel. Mark, good to see you. Thanks for making the time.
Thank you very much.
So the Supreme Court has ruled the U.S. must facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia from El Salvador. And yesterday, the Trump administration lawyers saying they could not yet provide a specific plan. We hear from the man's attorney saying this is ridiculous. It's a 5-hour flight. Why isn't he back yet? How can we expect this to play out?
It actually may go back to the Supreme Court right away. If at some point they can see that their orders are being played with, they're going to issue another order, and then you're going to have a real, I think, constitutional Donnybrook in America, and probably one of the few times we're ever going to have it. But we may have it where he refuses to follow an order, and will literally, I think, the Trump administration will say, "Look, we run the country. You just give us advice or give us opinions." I worry that's going to happen.
What is the outcome of a standoff like that?
Well, I hate to say it, but as Stalin one time said about the Pope, he said, "How many legions has the Pope?" And the point is the courts can order the marshals to do something. They can order the National Guard to do something. But President Trump is in charge of both of those agencies, and he can just refuse to do something. You may get to a constitutional crisis at some point in this administration. I don't think over this case.
Okay. There's a lot there. Let's return to this case at hand. The White House accusing him of being an MS-13 gang member. He denies this. His wife denies it. His lawyer denies it. Do we have any insight into the specific evidence authorities may have that he is affiliated with this gang? And if any of this evidence does come to light, does that change the order to return him home?
Oh, if it really comes to light and they can prove it, and I think the point is follow the law. And so here what they're saying is that, I don't think anybody disagrees with the law. It's the application of the law. And under the Constitution, Congress passes the laws. The Supreme Court says what the law really means, but we let the executive branch enforce it and to administer it. So that's the big issue here is the question whether they follow the law. Supreme Court said you didn't follow the law. And we really haven't had the full and fair hearing about these allegations. If they're true, if the worst allegations are true, I think everyone is going to agree on the outcome, which means removal, but never removal where torture is involved. These are human beings. So, you can't remove someone to a place with the intention or knowledge that there's going to be torture take place. They just don't belong in our country if you can prove that.
Okay, switching to another high-profile immigration case right now, a judge ruling that this Columbia University graduate student by the name of Mahmoud Khalil can be deported as a national security risk. We know he has a green card. He's married to a U.S. citizen. Can you explain the legal basis for why he's being removed, and what are the implications here?
Well, first of all, I'll get to the legal basis, but the overreaching policy of the Trump administration is to do this, to grab people that they do not want, that they don't like being here, and just whisk them away and find a law to use in this case. In this case, it's actually the Immigration Act. And there is a provision that says, look, if the Secretary of State can certify that your presence or activity, is adverse, will have adverse foreign policy consequences, they can remove you. They can take away your right to be here. Now, in this case, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that. He wrote down, hey, look, this person's presence and activity here will have adverse foreign policy consequences. But the big fight is going to be, because he's going to be here for a while. He has an appeal still coming up of the immigration rule on April 23rd. There's also a federal habeas petition, like a lawsuit in federal court in New Jersey, that will probably make its way to the Supreme Court. And what they're going to say there is, look, that law says presence and activity. And so far, all we heard is what he says is why we want him to leave. What he has said, that's protected First Amendment speech that everyone, if you're lawfully here, you're entitled. We can't remove you for your speech. Your activity, the First Amendment doesn't always protect actions. It protects your words.
Mark Reichel, always appreciate the analysis, the context, the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha.